what you're going to find is that you have a sudden clarity and a sudden desire to act on the clarity. And it won't be premeditated. It'll feel quite spontaneous. It'll feel like now's the time. You're going to enact change in your reality whilst you wield the sword of truth. We've got bringers of light about to touch down into our timeline. They're bringing with them a very well needed welcome waft of light codes, higher frequency. This is a great burst of light and bolstering of the energy that our timeline so desperately needs as we move now into a challenging period in our timeline. We're preparing for tests at the individual and at the collective level. And so coming in right now to bolster us, to lift us up, to elevate us are these bringers of light. Who are they? Where did they come from? Why are they only pitching up now? Oh, if only I had a mirror. There they are. There. Look in the mirror. Bringers of light. It's you. Light workers, you have been operating in a future timeline. If I were to use different words, I would say a higher timeline. And that's one of the reasons why over the last couple of weeks, it would have felt for many of you like you were just in a weird space. Weird as in reality was happening and you could see it and you were aware of it, but you also at the same time felt a little bit removed from what was going on, almost like you're there but not there kind of a feeling. It's not that you were out of body, though some of you may have felt quite ungrounded. It's not that you were out of body, it's that you were out of the density that the current timeline is on. You were in a slightly more elevated timeline. And by slightly more, I mean a lot more elevated in frequency. Then what happens is you're on a higher timeline, higher frequency. That higher frequency meets the density that your body is carrying, and then you're challenged because now alchemy has to happen. This is almost like a crash course, like a speed up in terms of our healing. So we, the light workers, elected to do this. The light workers are an amazing group of people. We don't necessarily know each other's names, faces, and addresses, but we meet all the time at the soul level, and we coordinate and we work together as a collective. And the light workers are so spectacular that their strategy is having no strategy, because if you've got a strategy, I'm being really serious when I say this, if we have a strategy, that strategy is readable, because there's technologies to do that, you guys. We're dealing with very sophisticated spiritual warfare, and there are many, many beings who are trying to control the false matrix. The light workers are the Frodo Baggins right now of the story, in the sense that they're small, at least they think they are. They're unpredictable because they're underestimated, and they are the anomaly that cannot be predicted because they themselves are operating without a game plan. They're operating at the cutting edge of creation, which is called the infinite now, which, by the way, is different from the present, but I'll explain that another day. The infinite now is where the light workers are hanging out, and at that place, the cutting edge of creation, they're coming up with some really spectacular, unthought of ideas, really out of the box ideas to progress, so we can see, okay, big timeline test is coming up around about November, December. It's going to carry over into 2025. The spillover of what we start in November is going to leak well into the first quarter, or at least the first half of 2025. So we want to prepare. We want to bolster the timeline. We bolster through our presence. So what we coordinated was, let's shift ourselves into a higher timeline. That's going to be challenging, because it means, as much as it sounds lovely, oh, nice, higher frequency. Remember, this is what challenges us, because higher frequency discharges lower frequency. That's the nature of alchemy. And as that occurs, we face ourselves, we're bumping our head against the wall, things can get rough and tough and so forth. We can feel like our world is crumbling because we're discharging density. No matter how many times we do this, it remains challenging. So that's what the light workers were busy coordinating and busy putting into practice. Now, these bringers of light, they've become familiar with that higher frequency, able to operate in that higher frequency, and now they're getting ready to touch down into the existing timeline. And as they do that, for them, let's talk about what happens for them. There's like little bit of almost what could feel like a crash landing. So what could be a seamless touchdown might for some people be more like a crash landing, because what's going to happen is these light workers are dropping from a higher frequency into a lower frequency. There was a recent video that I put up about your future self and working with your future self. And I will also put up a recent past video about soul walk-ins. All of this is part of the preparation work for what we've undertaken. Now it's about integrating all of this into embodiment. And we've been doing this for a little while now, to the point that we're ready to bring it onto the timeline. But as this occurs, there's almost a little shock to the system, and you're going to feel like, oh my God, the world is suddenly really heavy. The world is suddenly really dense. See, it's not you that became dense. It is you that has moved from a higher timeline into a lower timeline, which was the original one you were on, but it's a lower timeline in the sense that you're now going to feel more density around you. Less elevation. The elevation is inside of you, light workers. This is important. We're so used to looking to the external world to make us okay, to stabilize us. We, the light bringers, are the light workers who have collectively, to some degree or another, elected to shift ourselves into higher frequency. Now we shift that higher frequency through our bodies into the timeline. Yes, there's a little shock to the system. Yes, there's a little jolt. Yes, it's uncomfortable when we land back down into density. But what we're doing is we're bringing light here. That's the role. I always talk about light workers, but I want you to know that includes people like the star seeds, the spiritual warriors, whatever name you call yourself. If you're a being of light, collectively I refer to you as a light worker. I'm not into semantics and I'm not into labels and names, but you know who you are. If you work with light, it means that you're working with consciousness, you're evolving yourself, you're spiritually in tune, awakened, aware, etc. As you bring higher frequency in, you're going to have your little crash landing, but people are going to look at you as if, who the hell are you? How dare you be here? And so how that can play out, again, obviously it's going to be different for everyone, is you're going to find a lot of people nitpicking you, almost like they're picking you apart or criticizing you, because they won't realize why they're finding fault with you. They won't realize why they're trying to unconsciously take you down. Maybe get you to move into self-doubt, where actually you then take yourself down. If you move into self-doubt, you then self-sabotage and you do the work on their behalf, ultimately. The point is, many people will be challenged by the light that you're holding. And the light that you're holding spells one word, and the word is change. And there are a lot of people that are allergic, fiercely allergic to that word, because of what it unsettles for them. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you, the bringer of that word, the bringer of that frequency, the bringer of light. They're trying to get you to diminish yourself. They're going to bait you so that you'll move out of the creative realm. What's the creative realm? The creative realm is what runs the timeline. The timeline is operated by those who hold the highest frequency, and that's the light workers. So what we're doing now is we're collectively supporting each other, and you will see it in the comment section. You will see it. It touches my heart so deeply and so completely whenever I see it in the comment section. Somebody just saying, hey, have a good day, or so much love to whoever's reading this. Or these beautiful little notes on other people's comments that cost you nothing, but they're so heartfelt, and they're a little bit of giving and a little bit of time taken to maybe brighten somebody else's day. But you'll also notice, and I've noticed this, in the last, I would say 2 weeks or so, more than usual. Now, please bear in mind, this is always going to happen in anybody's comment section, right? But more than usual, criticism happening in my comment section. Carrie, you used the word past, but all time is now, so there is no past. You guys should know me by now. I don't give into that kind of nonsense. Those are semantics that really is all about a misunderstanding of a linear concept. We use a linear language trying to describe a non-linear concept like timelessness. We need to use indicators like past, present, and future because that's the way that it has made sense to us in the false matrix. There are people that will nitpick. But Carrie, you used this word and I'm shocked and I'm disgusted and I'm appalled and I'm surprised that you used that word because you should have used this word. And you said it like this, but I actually think you should have said it like that. And I've lost faith in you and I've lost hope in you. I don't care if anybody has faith or hope in me. I want you guys to have faith and hope in yourselves. And I know that I do not speak to the majority when I say this. The majority, we're performing our task. But you're going to come up against people who will try to take you down now a little bit more fervently because they're going to be challenged by your energy. When you bump up against that, just observe it. And instead of going into annoyance, because it can be a little bit annoying, instead of going into annoyance, see if you can go into compassion. See if you can zoom out beyond that person's criticism of you or that way in which a person might be trying to introduce low frequency into your reality, whatever it is. See if you can allow yourself to zoom out and see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is, forgive them, God, for they know not what they do. The bigger picture is they are so programmed by the memory of the false matrix that they were once subservient to. And even though the false matrix is in the process of crumbling, they still hold the programming and the loyalty to that programming that makes them repeat blindly and unconsciously what they don't even know they're holding. So as we zoom out, we're going to start to see that more and more clearly, which means you're going to start to really dust yourself off when people come at you with negativity or they come at you with disrespect or dishonor or disapproval or whatever it is. You're going to find yourself really able in a great new way to walk through this. Here's something else that I really want you to be aware of. As you touch down into the new timeline, a clarity is going to be upon you. Almost like something maybe that you've wanted to implement or a friendship. Here's an example, a friendship that, you've thought, well, I really need to distance myself from this person, or a job that's like, I really should leave this, or a relationship or a way of being, whatever it is. What you're going to find is that you have a sudden clarity and a sudden desire to act on the clarity. And it won't be premeditated. It'll feel quite spontaneous. It'll feel like now's the time. Now's the day. This is the moment. You're just going to enact, almost like you're holding a sword of truth. You're going to enact change in your reality whilst you wield the sword of truth. We've lived with this mask of martyrdom and a desire to people please and a self-sacrificial orientation that we're in the process of relinquishing and unknowingly having exchanged that for the sword of truth that we now wield. And of course, when you wield a sword of truth, you're going to be unpopular. Of course, when you wield a sword of truth, somebody's going to say, but you're supposed to be my scapegoat. You're supposed to be my dumping ground. You're supposed to be the person that I mistreat in the world. You're supposed to be the person that I stand on, whatever it is. You're going to find a lot of disgruntled people when you come into the world with your clarity that says, no, I've got to act from my power now. I've got to self-honor. It's okay when other people don't understand that. They don't need to. It's not for them to understand. It is not for them to approve of you. It is for you to approve of you. It is for you to act in your highest light. And there's going to be something within you that as you touch down into this density of the timeline that we were on just a few short weeks ago, that you're going to get irritated by. You're going to go, no, this is out of place in my world. This needs to stop. And you're going to do whatever it takes to bring a stop to that. So look out for that, right? As your feet touch down into the old timeline, which it may have already done or will do shortly after watching this video, and you go, this is so out of place in my world. You want to bring remedy, you bring remedy. With that remedy will come relief for you, will come peace for you, will come the preservation of your personal integrity. And that's ultimately what the grand prize is. Are you in integrity with yourself? Because it's one of the most spectacular feelings when you know that you haven't given up on you or given parts of you away in order to please another or in order to be approved of or anything of that nature. So bringers of light, as your feet touch down, it's okay if you're a little bit shocked, a little bit giddy. Use that annoyance not to get annoyed with somebody else, but rather to remedy what needs to be remedied in your world. And then, never but never before has there been a time for you that is more important than now to be the change, be the love, be the light. Because remember, you've come from a timeline where that encompassed you, that surrounded you, that was infused into the ambient field that you were living in. Now you've removed yourself from that ambient field and you're in, for want of a better way of saying it, the old timeline that we were on. Don't look for the timeline to lift you up. You're here to lift the timeline up. Yeah, let that sink in. You're here to elevate the timeline. And I don't want you to get a sense of burden here. Oh God, oh my God, I've got to lift this whole timeline up. I want you instead to very calmly, very courageously, very peacefully sit in your power, sit and revel in your love. Sit and exude your light. Sit and celebrate the victory of the awakening that you're in. Sit and be inside the expansion that keeps evolving you and expanding you. Do you see? It's that. That's how you elevate the timeline. You don't elevate the timeline by going out there and saying, right, everybody, you all need to behave. Let me teach you what to do. That's not elevating the timeline at all. That's just going to disempower people, and that's going to annoy people. You're being asked to just be. The love, the light, the change, the beauty, the potency, and you'll be all of those things in action. Don't be confused when I say just be. That doesn't mean you're going to sit on your couch and Carrie says I've just got to be and I can't do anything else. That's not at all what I'm saying. Be the love whilst you're busy about your day. Be the change, be the light, be the frequency of acceptance and forgiveness and beauty and peace and harmony while you speak to people. Brush your teeth, think about your world, because every interaction you have with the world ripples into the world. You're becoming the place where that ripple originates because you're at the cutting edge of creation. Because now you're holding the frequency, you're holding the higher frequency, not the timeline. It will infuse, just so you know, it will infuse into the timeline. And it's going to bolster a lot of people, and it's going to shift the timeline. So we're going to have a little bit of density, a little bit of heaviness, a little bit of touchdown. And then as we leak our light, I like the way that sounds, we're going to leak our light into the timeline. Then the timeline, the ambient field, in other words, that you live in, then that starts to elevate. You'll find this happens pretty quickly because we transfer light really quickly. We ripple. And the nature of light, just so you know, is to ripple. So you don't have to sit there equally and go, okay, light, go, 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 go quickly, go, imprint yourself upon the timeline. The nature of light. See how we always try and make things harder than they are, right? The nature of light is to ripple. It will do that. It does not need your help. It needs you simply to hold it, simply to carry it, simply to acknowledge it, simply to be it. So how does that feel for you? Bringer of light? Can you acknowledge your place? Use the comments. I want to know, can you acknowledge your place? Even if you're going to say to me, but Carrie, I don't know how I could possibly do this. I don't know how I could pull this off. That's great, because none of this is happening at the linear level. Remember, we're operating, our game plan is that we have no game plan. So none of this stuff is going to be imprinted at the cognitive level, at the linear logical level at all. I want you to feel the resonance in you, bringer of light. How does that resonate? How does that fit? How does that feel? Don't look at the mechanics of what have I got to do? Because that's really just false matrix style thinking. False matrix style thinking is always like, what do I have to do about something? This is all about when I allow myself to be in this field, what does it feel like? So from my heart, from deep within me, I send love all the way to you. May it find you inside your heart, and may it bring you peace. May you be wrapped in love, and may you say yes to love. May you let it in. And may the love that you let in ripple and ripple and ripple endlessly for all eternity. Your love is the infinite ripple. Speak to you really soon. Make sure to leave me a comment. Please like the video, share it with a friend, and I look forward to speaking to you some more. Bye-bye for now.